Saa 12 Afrika Mashariki. Asante sana kwa kukubali kujiunga nasi. Tuna mdahalo mkubwa sana hapa studioni, lakini ni kufahamisha kwamba kipindi hiki cha Kenya's Gold kinapewa udhamini mkubwa ama ufadhili kupitia benki ya Cooperative. Tunakufahamisha kwamba ukitaka nafasi ya kupata pembejeo iliyo bora, vile vile mbolea ambayo inakufaa, na vile vile kuhakikisha unapata utaalamu kutoka kwa wataalamu wanaofahamu sana masuala ya kilimo, basi nafasi kwako kutoa mikopo ambayo inapeanwa na Cooperative. Tunaanza na moja ya letters of credit. Iwapo wewe ni mkulima unayefanya maduhuli au kile tunaita imports, benki ya Cooperative ina uwezo wa kukupa letters of credit kufanikisha miamala au transaction, kuhakikisha unalipa mara moja na kupokea bidhaa zako kwa hali iliyo bora. Vile vile iwapo unafanya mahuruji, kuna kitu tunaitwa pre-export, export zako ama katika soko la kimataifa, benki ya Cooperative itakupa kile tunakiita pre-export financing kufanikisha ada ya uhifadhi, leseni na gharama zingine ili kufadhili oda yako. Bila shaka kipindi cha Kenya's Gold kinadhaminiwa pakubwa kabisa na benki ya Cooperative. Nafasi kwako mkulima kutoa nafasi hiyo, basi kuendea mikopo katika benki ya Cooperative ili kuhakikisha kwamba kila kitu kinakwenda shwari kule shambani. Na rejea studioni sasa na kwenda moja kwa moja kwa Wairimu upate nafasi ya kuuliza swali lako.
Asante sana. My question is to Vasha. You find that in the farm, like for us at Karungo farm, when we hatch either tilapia or catfish, from 0 to 2 months, you can find your water is okay, your temperature is okay, everything surrounding from hatching to about 2 inch is all right. You've measured the temperature, you've checked the water quality, there's a recycling system, but you find that one morning you wake up and they're all dead. You wonder what happened, what went wrong.
Okay, is it a regular thing that you see? It's like after one day and you come back, they're all dead?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I would say that it's most likely an oxygen issue in that case, because if it's a very drastic death to all of them, then it has to be something that happens with water quality. And the one that happens, let's say, most drastically, the one that can change most drastically overnight is oxygen. So it's important, especially at the very young stage, that they're always being supplemented with oxygen and it's continuously being aerated. But also when it comes to mortalities, young fish, so when they're in the fingerling phase, they're very, very sensitive and they're very susceptible. So any small changes can cause a drastic effect on them. So it's so important that you have good water quality throughout the whole time, that you're also getting good quality of fingerling. So that's also one of the most important aspects, is that if your broodstock are fit and healthy, then the fingerlings that are coming out of the broodstock will also be more fit, more healthy, and they'll be more susceptible to fighting any challenges that come along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nashukuru sana. Thank you. Can you say one Swahili word?
Sasa.
Naja kwako Frederick. Naomba sana uchukue nafasi sasa ulize swali lako.
Asante, mimi niko na swali kwa mwenzangu John Eric. And my question is, farmers are having a lot of challenges when it comes to the decision on stocking, when they are stocking. And the main challenge here is the balance between when to buy cheaper fingerling and to buying the one that is post-fingerling for stocking. I don't know, from where you stand and looking at it from an economic point of view, what advice can you give the farmers? Because as a hatchery, from our hatchery at Hydro Victoria, we see a lot of these situations where the farmers are running for the cheapest, but again, they come complaining. Some are saying it's expensive. So that balance, I don't know what you can advise as an expert.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question, because that phase of fish growth is the most important. And in fact, most of the mortality issues we are talking about are faced at that phase. So we expect specialized hatcheries to know how to handle smaller fish. And a grow-out farmer, most of them may not know how to deal with fish at this stage. So that's one of the basic reasons why we ask farmers, please buy fingerlings. So just like the name says, it's a fingerling. In most cases, we buy fry, which is 0.5 grams, 1 gram.
Yeah.
That is not a fingerling. And it means that as an outgrower farmer, it gives a lot of pressure to you to try and grow this fish to a fingerling and then get it through the grow-out stage. So what we normally say from an economic point of view, it might be very cheap to buy the 0.5 gram compared to, say, buying 15 grams to 20 grams, which is the size we would recommend. But then at the end of the day, the amount of money and resources that you need to use to grow this fish, say, from the 0.5 grams to the 20 grams, if you do the math, it's way more than the amount of money you spend to buy the 20 grams. And the risks are low if you buy a bigger size because mortality rates are also lower. So from an economic point of view and all the other risks involved, we ask farmers to buy bigger sized fingerlings. But since we are in a transition phase, most farmers are just getting to know this concept. We are encouraging the concept of nursing fish. So if we could buy the fry, nurse them to fingerling, then stock them in our grow-out systems, that way it would be more economical. Or even the hatcheries themselves would have a nursing unit. Or we could have farmers who are not hatching, they're not grow-out farmers, but they're just nursery farmers. So they buy the fry, nurse them to fingerling size, sell them to the grow-out farmers. In that case, we have specialization, we have higher survival rate, and it's economical to everyone.
Naam, kabla nitoke kwako Eric, nampatia nafasi Sabina kuuliza swali lake.
Asante. Ningekuuliza juu wakulima wangu wengi ni wale wako kule mashinani chini, wengine mambo na feeds. Apart from pellets, kitu gani nyingine wanaweza feed kama plant yenye iko na protein, kitu kama hiyo waelezee hivyo.
Hiyo ni swali mzuri Sabina. Juu tukiacha kutumia formulated feeds, for example, tuanze kuwapatia ugali ama skuma ama omena, then we stop feeding fish feed, we feed them on fish feed ingredients. So ukiwa mkulima wa chini pia uwezi ukaacha samaki wako waende njaa, utatafuta kitu cha kuwapatia. Wakulima wengi kule Nyanza wanatumia ochonga, this is freshwater shrimps, to just give their fish directly. Some farmers go as far as feeding the fish skuma wiki kills. So we know you're not supposed to let your fish go hungry. But then if you can, ujue ini ingredient, it's not a balanced diet. Hata mwanadamu ukimpatia chakula yenye si balanced diet, tunajua consequences. So wakulima tunasema tusiache samaki wakae njaa, tutafuta kitu cha kuwapea. So ujue protein ni very important. Lazima wapate vitamins, lazima wapate carbohydrates. So wewe ukiangalia hiyo ingredients zenye uko nazo, hakikisha kuna hiyo balanced diet. Lakini ukiweza kama mkulima, nenda ukanunue chakula tafadhali.
Na hapo bado juu tunapatanga sana groups za wamama, za vijana, hivyo wanaulizanga kama mnauza feed zenu, mnaweza kama saa zile tuko na hizo groups, mnaweza tutembelea, mwafundishe, pengine mtu anaweza jaribu kujitengenezea kitu kama hiyo. Najua economy si nzuri sana.
Hiyo ni nzuri. So umesikia Terera akisema nafanya kazi Lattice. Lattice tuko na kitu inaitwa Aquaculture Academy. All we do is train fish farmers. And apart from our campuses where people come to be trained, pia tunaenda kwa wakulima. We have a mobile unit, it's a van, fully equipped, tunakuja penye mko, tunawafunza kila kitu ambayo mnataka kujua. So wewe tukitoka hapo utaniona kando. Kuja tuatembele.
Acha tuchukue kutoka kwako Odhiambo to Russia. You can ask the question.
Yes. Once again, Santi. Yeah, Russia, there's this question of the knowledge gap we have had in the industry. Yeah, you find that most farmers are suffering for the lack of knowledge. Yeah, they are still practicing the old farming system, and they want to make like a big change in the industry. So what do you think are the incentives that are outside there that can make farmers now embrace the aquaculture as a business?
Yeah, exactly. I think what you said clearly is embracing it as a business. So farmers should not see it as just something on the side or something that they can do easily. Aquaculture should be treated, and fish farming should be treated as a business and as for profit. So I think that's the key. There's a very big gap between the skills that farmers need for aquaculture and what they currently have. And aquaculture, for any fish farmer who's actually done it, it's much more technical than it seems. So a lot of people compare it to poultry farming maybe, but it's a lot more technical. You know, you have your fish inside water that you cannot see them. So you have to measure the water, you have to measure the quality, and you know, you have your fish there for 8 months. That's a very long time. You have your biological assets in the water for 8 months. So it's so important to have the skills and to have the capacity. And I think there's a lot happening now in Kenya trying to bridge that gap. And like John Eric said, at Lattice Aquaculture, they have vocational training. And I think that's what's so important. It's where training was done much more theoretical around fish farming, it needs to move more now towards the more practical. People need to be on a farm and see how the farm is doing it. They need to learn in a more practical basis, hold the fish, test the water quality themselves. So I think that's the key gap, is that training needs to move away from the theoretical and more to the vocational, more to the practical around fish farming.
Asante sana na shukuru sana. Thank you very much, Rasha. Tunakwenda moja kwa moja sasa katika mapumziko. Kila mmoja wenu ameuliza swali lake na tunahakikisha kwamba kila kitu ambacho tunakupeperusha kupitia kipindi cha Kenya's Gold kinakufaa wewe kama mtazamaji wetu. Lakini sasa tuangalie kile tunaita farm job. Nini kipi ambacho tumekuandalia ili upate kufahamu? Shiriki nasi kwa sababu naarifiwa kwamba ipo hapa. Why don't cows have any money? Kwa nini ng'ombe wetu hawana hela? Tutarejea na swali hilo na tutapata nafasi ya kutupigia simu. Kwa Kiingereza nasoma hivi, why don't cows have any money? Kwa nini ng'ombe hawana hela? Utapata nafasi ya kutupigia moja kwa moja kupitia kiombo cha angalia nambari kwenye kiombo chetu mubashara kabisa. Tutashika simu yako tuzungumze pamoja, lakini sasa twende mapumzikoni.